Good morning everyone. Today I wanted to do a video on assumptions and getting involved with other people's business. And sometimes, or a lot of times, we get caught up in things that are out of our control. We get stressed out about what other people do. But if we knew the full extent and knew the lives of what these others are going through, our ego would automatically just disintegrate. I'll give you examples because we worry so much. We get angered, we get frustrated, but from an energy standpoint, that's draining. That's not healthy for us at all. But it happens far too much. There's so much anger and frustration in this world, and it starts from us. We can let go of so much more. I'm going to give you some examples of where our ego takes over, and when we really find the full extent of what's going on, it just drops it. Let's take driving for example. How many people get road rage? How do people get angry and just lash out when someone bibs you or cuts you up? It's because we're unconscious, we're in flow. But that unconscious reaction means we're angry. Give you an example, a car zooms past you and they're driving really fast and you like, fucking wanker, dangerous driving, and you wanna tell them how dangerous they are, so you chase them. I was behind the car when this happened. The car whizzed past, the car in front of me was like, and you could see he's getting angry. Went on for about 3 minutes, in and out of traffic, trying to get hold of him just to make a point. But imagine he gets to the lights and when they turn up, just about to say something, and in the back seat, there's someone and their neck's squirting out of blood, they're bleeding, they've had an accident. And that car is rushing them to the hospital. And all of a sudden, that anger that you've been holding on for 3 minutes, you have to let go of. To understand the real reason for it. And this happens in life all the time, in loads of different examples. I'm from the personal trainer industry, a toxic industry in terms of trainers. It's a dog-eat-dog-eat world, but we judge all the time. And I've seen many cases where trainers judge other trainers. Look what they're doing to their client, look how dangerous it is, look how lazy they are. Yes, in those cases you may be right. You don't have to get angry yourself. All you've got to do is turn up yourself. But give you another example. You see a guy on the bike, sit down bike with his trainer. The trainer's just sitting talking to him and the guy's just cycling for half an hour. The trainer's saying, how is he charging for that? How is he there, like putting his client on the bike? What a lazy trainer. He should be doing weights. If he literally just took the time to find out what the client's gone through. The client had an accident 8 years ago. Literally had every single reconstructive surgery. And this is his second trainer session in the gym. And being on the bike is mostly the best thing that he can do at that point, and getting out of this environment that he's been trapped in for so long, and he's feeling free again. If you knew that, would you be having that much anger and resentment for the other trainer? You wouldn't, would you? Not at all. And again, it's just to show you how our ego takes over. We don't need to get involved of other people's business. Let's take dating. We've been on dates. We have a great time with someone else. They have a great time with you. You really like them. And then you get back, you send them a text, it's late at night and they don't text you back. You look at your phone, it's got 2 blue ticks, you start getting wound up, you start getting frustrated, you start doubting yourself. Then you start questioning, oh, should I text them? Or should I text them again? You text them, you delete them, and you're having all these things going in your head. The next day they don't text you back either. And then you start getting wound up, you start getting agitated. And in the end, you get really annoyed. You text them again, you phone them, and they don't get back to you. And all of that frustration, all that waste of energy, you find out they just had a 12-hour flight to South Africa. And that first date, yeah, it was a great one, but you've ruined it now because you showed how needy and how insecure and how much you want someone else. And all they thought was, well, this guy was really cool. And then all of a sudden I've been woken up to all these messages and missed calls and frustration. All of a sudden you lost that opportunity. And it again just shows you how your ego takes over. We don't know what's going on in other people's worlds. But what we can do is turn up as our best self. If you had a good date with someone, they had a good date with you, that's brilliant. Not always is it going to lead to other things. But it's definitely not going to lead to other things if you show this other side of you, this crazy person. We don't need that in our lives. I'll give you 2 more other examples. I was in a restaurant and there was a guy, he had 4 kids. One of them was disabled. He ordered food for himself. His kids were crying. He started eating the food. And people that I was with said, how dare he? Look how selfish he is, just eating it, not even paying attention to them. But we don't know what's going on. And we actually found out that he was a carer. And back home he's got his wife who is disabled. And his reason for it, he said, I need to look after myself first. I need to fuel myself because I've got so much going on. If I don't get my food in now, I can't eat. And when I go home, I don't have time to eat. I don't have time to cook. So I get mine in first, I look after my kids, then I go home, and then I look after my wife. So us judging someone else, just by looking at them, just by taking that small example, and then we find out what really happens. This person is an incredible human being, and we're getting angry and wound up by someone that has nothing to do with our life at all. Nothing in the slightest, but yet we still get wound up by it. Big one, being at work. How many colleagues do we get wound up by? How many colleagues do we get frustrated by? We just literally can't stand them, and everything they do annoys us. And then you'll get one colleague who all of a sudden starts becoming late. She starts becoming a bit unproductive at work. She starts looking a bit scruffy. And it keeps happening, and the boss is getting really angry, getting really frustrated, and having bitching and moaning and gossiping to other people. Look how unprepared this woman is now. She's just showing that she's not caring. But if we just took the time to find out how our colleagues are, because yeah, some people are angry, some people are aggressive. Some of the bosses that I've seen of my clients, they can't stand them. How many times do we actually stop and ask them, how are they doing? How are they feeling? Because sometimes that's all it takes. We have these positions of power that come with responsibility, and it gets lonely. And without that conversation, sometimes we don't know what's going on. And I'm giving that example because this come up in one of our coaching sessions. This woman that was becoming late, unproductive, and a bit scatty, was actually getting abused at home on a regular, but still managed to make it into work, still managed to get some work done, but still didn't have anyone to speak to about it because not one person took the time to come over and say, how are you? So I'm doing this video just to identify and be more aware of the ego, to understand that everyone else has their own shit going on in this life. And for us to judge and assume is only going to hurt us. It's only going to wear our energy. And the best thing that we can do is literally find out. And if we can't find out, let it go. It doesn't impact you at all. Road rage, judging, assumptions, we don't need it in our lives at all. So guys, I just want you to think about that. I've been guilty for it on many occasions. There's been many occasions that if I did say something, and when I did find out, it would have ruined everything. Relationships, friendships, work situations, business deals. There's been a number of times where I've kept my mouth shut. And maybe that was my intuition, that was my soul telling me, keep shut, keep that to yourself. And if it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up, then have a conversation. That's all it takes. We need to start speaking to each other more. We need to start listening a bit more. And if we did that, the world would be a lot better place. We'd be able to help each other. And also we'd be able to tame our ego and start saving and conserving our energy for us to be healthier. If you'd like to find out more on this sort of stuff, please reach out. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and please join my group on Facebook. And I'll see you soon.